If you are currently paying $700 a month for the car sitting in your driveway, I need you to understand something that is going to make you incredibly uncomfortable. You are not losing $700 a month. You are losing $1.58 million. I am going to say that again because your brain is going to try to reject it. That car payment is not a $700 line item in your monthly budget. It is a $1.58 million hole in your future net worth. I am going to spend the next 20 minutes proving the math to you, and I promise you will never look at a car dealership. You know that feeling when you log into your banking app and for the first time in 6 years, your car loan balance says zero, not overdue, not pending, zero paid done. Most people refresh the page just to make sure it's real. They feel a massive wave of relief, of physical lightness that changes how they move through the rest of the day. But here is the brutal truth that nobody tells you. The payoff moment isn't actually the win. It's a trap. What happens in the 30 days after that balance hits zero determines whether you will spend the rest of your life trapped in the middle class or whether you will actually build generational wealth. And unfortunately, by design, most people completely blow it. My name is Nick, and I spend way too much time obsessing over the financial decisions that feel ordinary in the moment, but dictate your entire reality 20 years later. If you've ever made a last car payment, or you're counting down the days to one, hit that subscribe button, because today we are tearing apart the American car payment machine, and I am going to show you exactly how to break out of it. Let's get into the math. The $1.5 million mistake. Before we talk about the trap waiting for you, we have to establish what is actually at stake. Most people are terrible at calculating opportunity cost. They look at $700 and think, well, that is just the cost of getting to work. No, it is not. The S&P 500 has returned roughly 10%, annually going back nearly a century. That is not a guarantee, but it is the historical baseline through every recession, war, and the market crash you can name. Take that same $700 a month and put it into a simple, boring S&P 500 index fund. Instead of sending it to a lender after 5 years, you have $54,000. After 10 years, you have $143,000. You put in $84,000 of your own money, and the market handed you $59,000. 这是收银行. If you've ever looked at your bank account at the end of a disciplined month you ate at home, you said no to buying things you wanted, and you thought, why is my net worth not moving? This is why your car payment is the leak that makes the whole bucket feel pointless. But let us keep going. By year 20, that portfolio hits $531,000. Your contribution was $168,000. The market growth was $363,000. And by year 30, the number is approximately $1.58 million. Let that sink in. Over 3 decades, you contributed $252,000 of your own money. The market contributed $1.33 million. You did not earn that $1.33 million by working harder. You didn't work a second job for it. You just didn't interrupt it. That is what your car payment is actually costing you. It's not costing you $800 a month. It is costing you $1.33 million in free compounding wealth. And that is exactly the number that the dealership never puts on the window sticker. The dealership conspiracy. Now that you know what is at stake, we have to talk about why it is so impossibly hard to break the cycle. Americans collectively owe nearly $1.8 trillion in auto loan debt right now. That number recently edged past total student loan debt. Car payments have officially become the defining debt of American life. There are roughly 100 million Americans carrying an active auto loan. The average new car payment has climbed to over $800 a month, and they aren't paying this off in 3 years. The average loan now stretches to 69 months, almost 6 years. 1 in 5 new car buyers is signing an 84-month loan. 7 years. At some point, we should just rename it a mortgage and skip the part where we pretend you're ever going to own the thing. Here is the conspiracy. And I use that word intentionally. When your car loan hits zero, a red light essentially flashes in the automotive industry's ecosystem. They know you suddenly have $800 of free cash flow in your checking account. And they know they have approximately 30 days to steal it back before you get used to keeping it. The entire dealership model is built like a Venus flytrap. It is an elegant design with a terrible outcome for whoever walks inside. Think about what happens when you sit down in the finance office. The guy across the desk pulls up a screen with 5 different loan terms and asks you one specific question. What monthly payment works for you? He doesn't ask how much you want to spend. He doesn't highlight the total cost of the vehicle. He pivots your entire focus to the monthly number. Because the automotive industry knows a psychological secret. If they can get you to focus entirely on the monthly payment, you will sign almost anything. You finance $45,000. On a 69-month loan, you pay back over $51,000 for a machine that will be worth maybe $18,000 by the time you are done. But here is the most sinister part. The industry has designed a system where most people never even reach zero. The data on this is absolutely brutal. The average trade-in happens at month 44 of a 69-month loan. You don't even finish the race. The car starts making a weird rattling noise at 65 miles per hour. The infotainment screen starts looking a little outdated compared to your coworker's car. And suddenly, your brain starts a negotiation that leads you right back to the showroom. Right now, 28% of all vehicle trade-ins carry negative equity. That means the owner owed more to the bank than the car was actually worth. So what does the dealership do? They roll that negative equity into the new loan. It's a financial parlor trick. You are now paying interest on a car you do not even own anymore, stacked on top of a car that is actively losing value. The average buyer rolling negative equity is now paying $940 a month. They got close enough to the finish line to see it, and then they literally drove away from it. This is technically legal, but spiritually, it should require a waiting period and an intervention from a loved one. The cognitive tax. Why do we fall for it? Why do smart, hard-working people constantly volunteer to go back to financial prison? Because debt doesn't just drain your wallet. IT drains your brain. You know that thing that happens at 2 a.m. on a random Thursday. You aren't stressed about anything specific, but you're lying awake staring at the ceiling, and your brain starts running arithmetic. How much is in the checking account? What day does the car payment hit? What happens if the dog needs to go to the vet? That is not just anxiety. That is your debt occupying mental real estate. A fascinating study published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences tracked people who received unexpected debt relief. The results were mind-blowing. Eliminating debt actually improved their cognitive performance by a quarter of a standard deviation. It reduced their anxiety by 11%. It decreased short-term impulsive thinking by 10%. The researchers concluded that carrying debt is the cognitive equivalent of operating on a full night of lost sleep. It is a measurable physical tax on your brain's processing power. When your car loan finally disappears, the relief you feel isn't just excitement. It is clarity. The hum of that massive monthly obligation goes quiet. You get your bandwidth back. But Nobel Prize winning economist Richard Thaler proved that human beings use mental accounting. When that $800 stays in your checking account, the next month your brain doesn't automatically categorize it as wealth building capital. Your brain categorizes it as available income. And the available income always gets spent. You go out for slightly nicer dinners. You upgrade your phone. You buy a streaming service. You forget to cancel. It is exactly like getting your prison sentence commuted, walking out the front gates, and immediately volunteering to go back inside because you miss the scheduled meals. You have to protect your newfound clarity from your own psychology. Fake wealth vs real wealth, which brings us to the ultimate hurdle, identity. The hardest part about paying off a car and keeping it isn't the math. It is the social reality of driving a 7-year-old vehicle in a society where everyone treats what you drive as a direct statement about your value as a human being. Think about the last time your neighbor pulled up in a brand new $75,000 truck. You felt that flicker. It wasn't quite jealousy, but it was a quiet internal question. Should I upgrade? Does my car make me look like I'm falling behind? That feeling is not an accident. It is the product of billions of dollars in automotive marketing, specifically engineered to tie your self-worth to your steering wheel. But I won't give you a statistic that will permanently cure you of car envy. Thomas Stanley spent decades studying actual, verified millionaires in America, not people who look wealthy on Instagram, people who actually have a 7-figure net worth. He found that 86% of luxury cars are driven by non-millionaires. Let me repeat that. 86% of the people driving luxury vehicles are not millionaires. Furthermore, 61% of households earning over $250,000 a year drive Toyotas, Hondas, and Fords. The median price a millionaire paid for their most recent car was just over $31,000. The people building real wealth in this country are not announcing it through their monthly payments. They are too busy compounding their money to bother performing it for strangers at a stoplight. So the next time someone pulls up next to you in a shiny new Rover or a loaded SUV and you feel that flicker of inadequacy, remind yourself of the math. There is an 86% chance that person is not a millionaire, but there is a 100% chance they are a slave to a lender. That truck is not a signal that they made it. It is a signal that they fell for the marketing. Meanwhile, the actual millionaires are sitting in paid-off Corollas, moving money around in a brokerage account that doesn't have a grill you can polish. The bonus unlock and the 3-step playbook. So, how do we actually execute this? How do we take that payoff moment and turn it into a multi-million-dollar inflection point? First, let me give you a massive bonus unlock that nobody talks about. When you have an auto loan, the bank essentially owns your car. Because they own it, they force you to carry premium, full coverage insurance with low deductibles to protect their investment. The literal second your loan hits zero, the bank's mandates vanish. You have choices today that you did not have yesterday. Full coverage costs the average American roughly $2,500 to $3,000 a year. Liability only coverage runs about $600 to $1,200. Dropping those lender mandated coverages could save you an additional $1,000 to $1,500 a year on top of the car payment you just freed up. Use the 10% rule. If your annual comprehensive and collision premium exceeds 10% of your car, as current market value, you are getting ripped off. If your paid off car is worth $6,000 and you are paying $900 a year for collision, you are paying 15% of the car as value to protect an asset that is only depreciating. Drop the collision. Keep comprehensive because it is cheap and covers weather and theft. And raise your deductible to $1,000. Only 8% of drivers actually do this math when they pay off their cars. The other 92% keep paying lender required premiums out of pure inertia and raise your deductible to $1,000. It is like paying rent on an apartment you already bought because you forgot to tell the landlord you own the building. Now, here is your 3-step playbook for the 30 days after your final payment. Step 1. Automate before your brain finds the money. Do not manually transfer the money at the end of the month. You won't do it. Set up an automatic transfer for the exact amount of your old car payment and schedule it to leave your checking account on the exact same day the bank used to take it. If the money is gone before your brain registers it as available income, you will never miss it, and you will never spend it on a nicer dinner. Step 2. Run the debt avalanche. Do not send $700 a month to the stock market if you are carrying $8,000 in credit card debt at 21%. Investing while holding 21% debt is mathematically equivalent to bailing water out of a sinking boat with a teaspoon while ignoring a giant hole in the hull. Redirect that old car payment like a laser beam at your highest interest debt. Adding $700 a month to a $10,000 credit card balance wipes it out in 15 months and saves you thousands in interest. Once the toxic debt is dead, build a 3-month emergency fund in a high-yield savings account. That is your shield. That is what prevents a future $1,200 transmission repair from putting you back into credit card debt. Step 3. Invest the rest. Boring and consistent. Forever. Once the bad debt is gone, direct that money into wealth-building assets. Max out your 401k employer match. Fund a Roth IRA for tax-free growth. Buy low-cost, broad market index funds. And while you are doing this, take a fraction of that old payment, say $200 a month, and put it into a separate next car fund. Drive your paid-off car for another 5 years. By the time it actually dies, you will have $12,000 in cash, plus the trade in value to buy your next car in full. You will never sign an auto loan again. The true meaning of freedom. I want to leave you with this because it's the most important part of the entire equation. The person driving the aging, paid-off car with a rapidly compounding investment account wakes up one morning and realizes something incredible. They realize they can actually quit. Not dramatically, just quietly, because they don't owe $800 a month to a bank. They could take a lower paying job that they actually love. They could take 3 months off between careers without having a panic attack. They could look a toxic boss in the eye and say no without lying awake at night calculating whether their emergency fund will hold up. Their car doesn't announce any of that to the world. But that is what true financial freedom looks like. Freedom is not the panoramic sunroof or the heated leather seats. Freedom is the invisible options you possess that nobody else can see from the road. The person next to you at the stoplight in the brand new model isn't doing better than you. They are financing a different set of decisions. Their lifestyle requires their income every single month, whether they are exhausted, whether they are burned out, or whether the economy crashes. Options are not purchased with a bigger paycheck. They are purchased with a smaller monthly obligation. So if you log in tomorrow and see that auto loan balance hit 0, celebrate for 5 minutes. Then close the app, set up your automated transfer, and go drive your paid-off car. Let the number in your investment account quietly become the most important metric in your financial life. The real win isn't the payoff. The real win is never going back. I'm Nick. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just a guy who wants you to stop trading your life for a system that was built to keep you broke. If this video changed the way you look at your driveway, hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel so we can keep running the real math together. I'll see you in the next one.